quick exercise on how to do regression analysis in a standard curve. So if I'm going to pull up this and get rid of my friendly face here. Okay, let's do a regression analysis. So someone asked, how do I figure out the unknown of my absorbance? And so I assume that you have done an experiment where you have made a standard curve of solutions of a known concentration. So perhaps I just arbitrarily said, okay, we've got a concentration of 0 grams per liter, 1 gram per liter, 2 grams per liter, 3 grams per liter. This is where you're measuring the performance of a known sample and figuring out what sort of absorbance levels you're going to get. And from there, we've got to take it backwards. So I'm going to make a graph. And so we've got a whole pile of different types of graphs here. I want to make sure this is an XY graph because I need to figure out the relationship between my absorbance units and my concentration units. So it needs to be an XY graph and not a line graph, even though it's going to look like a line graph. So let's put in an XY graph, and well, you may be saying, wait a second, that's not very useful. I do want to select some data here. So first, in some cases you are able to just highlight the whole pile. I think it's a good idea to add things manually, just to make sure that you have a sense of what you're actually adding. So let's add. So I'm going to give my series name standard curve, series X value. So I'm clicking on this little red arrow here. My X values are going to be concentration. So I'm going to highlight my concentration values, and my Y values will be my absorbance values. And if I click on OK, and I click on OK one more time, there we go. Well, there's a standard curve. Now you'll notice it's not quite a perfect line, and that's okay. A standard curve often does have little tiny blips in it. And again, I faked this data just for the sake of illustration for you. This is not the end though. You need to right click on it and figure out what your regression is. Regression just says, if I was to fit a perfectly straight line through there, where would that perfectly straight line fit? Where is the best place for it to fit? And I'm not going to do the math for you. You'll do the math in second year with, hopefully with Tony Sirasuolo, your math teacher. But regression is extremely important. So we're going to fit the best straight line we possibly can. Now just let me do that again and walk you through this. So I'm going to put my cursor on the line, right click, and it's going to say format trendline. I'm working from a PC. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is perfectly the same in Mac, but try your best. So I'm going to click on format trendline, and this box is going to come on over the side. Different types of regression follow different patterns. Some will follow exponential or curvy lines in different formats. This is a line. Let's make a fit to a line. So it's a linear regression. And just sliding down here, our trend line is going to be automatic. I am not going to force an intercept. An intercept just means, do we want the trend line to start at 1? Do we want it to start at 0? Where do we want it? I'm not going to force an intercept. But what I do want to see is my equation for the line and the R-squared value. And so I'm going to just highlight that and make it bigger so that we can all see, because I'm getting old. There we go. So that is the slope of your line. Now if you remember, slope equals y equals mx plus b. If you remember that back to your high school math. So y, if you recall, were our absorbance values. So I'm just going to put y above it. I'm going to put x above concentration, if you just want to remember that. So y, x, that's our slope, and b is our intercept value. The R-squared value is interesting because it tells you how good your line was. Did it fit well or did it not fit well? And the closer it gets to 1.0, the better and straighter your line is. Let me just throw a monkey wrench at this and just show you what happens. It's pretty darn good right now. Let me just make it horrible. 0.5. And if I recalculate that value, just for fun. So remember, how do we do it? Right click, format data series, And let me just close that. Right click, format data series, and I want to see my cancel. Right click, add trend line. Add trend line. Thank you. Not format data series, add your trend line. Format your trend line. Come on. So a linear display equation, display R-squared. Oh, look, our R-squared just got horrible. Anyways, long story short, R-squared just shows how well your line fits. So I'm going to take it back to the previous value. What we need to do, oh, now I deleted the line. Format trend line, linear equation, R-squared. There we go. So I need to go backwards with this equation and solve for y. Because I've got my y values down here. I know, or no, I'm not solving for y. I have my y values. I need to solve for x. Oh my goodness. It's been a long day. Let's solve for x. So in this, we need to take this equation backwards. So x equals, I should get a notepad up here. Paint. How bad can I do this here? X equals, so that's going to be y minus, that's pretty much 0. 1 to the e minus 0.004, that is the same as like 0.0001. So I'm going to just ignore that for now. Y minus that, so that b value, y minus b over the m value. So in this case it will be 0.10, that's 0.14. I'm taking this backwards. So y minus b divided by m is going to give me and solve for my x. I hope that makes sense. I'm not an algebra teacher. Y minus b divided by m equals x. Don't save. So x value, that will be our concentration, will equal so that y minus b, so the b was 1, so 0.0001, and I'm going to put brackets around this, brackets, so that I make sure I'm dividing the whole thing, divided by m, so 0.1014. And that will give us our x value. That's our concentration. And I can actually copy this down. And there's our concentration. I'm hoping this makes sense. And again, we don't necessarily need to have all those significant digits there. Note how many significant digits you are working with up here, and follow the significant digits respectively relative to how the concentration was expressed to you. Hope that makes sense, and I will wave goodbye. Take care, bye.